You can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen to 50,000 dead? Now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison. Why play civil when all these dead won't make you listen?
What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? Man, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause now that I can see the cause so clearly. I want our leaders, regardless of party, to fear me. I will pick my targets and assassinate them lyrically. I will bring a mountain to the town square, hook them to the pillory and leave them there. Hillary, I'll see you there. Hillary, I'll see you there.
You can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen to 50,000 dead? Now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison. Why play civil when all these dead won't make you listen?
Welcome to the fantasy of rhetoric. Welcome to the last of the free speech while we can get it. And I promise you can get it. All you corporate Democrats, second wave Confederates, GOP illusionists, and neo-Nazi bureaucrats. And Stephen fucking Miller, I will see you in the aftermath. When all the laws are dust, there's just moral justice after that. And I will hunt you through the wasteland if it comes to that. So I can rub you in the dirt like a cheap human Brillo pad. I can sleep fine when our beds are burning, Stephen, but I'll turn around and run into the blaze to get my pillow back. As long as I can lay my head down, I can live with that. I can deal with a little ash. I can feel like a little of the old me burn with the bed and the rest of my past. The old world where we all lived and we can't get back. The old world where you didn't give and you'd still get back. Where you could rake in 12 billion and give none back. Those days are behind us, the virus will kill all that. Your wealth is behind us and kindness is meant for the past. Our leaders would bind us and starve us and call it a fast. A sacrament meant for their God that they garnish in cash. And they feed it the poor by the hundreds, that's all that it asks. Its hunger is legion and people in need are all it will have. So our only chance is to starve it and hope that it turns on them.
You can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. La, da, 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 la, da, 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 la, da, da, da.
Last stand, and I came to deliver. Been called a Clinton operative, a Russian, and a grifter. By libs, a washing student debt, proud to be an intern, sucking up to pigs who get a tax cut in the midterms. You cut the ties but never heal the wrist burns. Capitalist shackles wrap and penetrate like ringworms around the necks of those whose deaths will not affect the king's purse or the coffers of the company the king serves, who manufacture mandated tinctures, their safety data hanging from a fixture. half a mile skyward, just dangling from the rafters. My grift is sobbing till I'm cackling with laughter. I guess I would have made a decent actor. I'd be great at crying on command until they cut plus 40 minutes after. When the director waves a hand, it ain't a rap, it's now a legal matter. Honey, my grift is weeping on a mic until I'm hacking up airstrike verses like it's bombs away and batter up. Swinging on these bigots, they keep killing us to fatten up. Kill the switch, eat the rich, I think they're finally fat enough. Grab your knife and fork, the world is yours, just say you've had enough. And if you're comfy, you could go ahead and laugh it up. Tell me how the most important vote I'll ever cast is like the choosing of a bus, in that it might not take you anywhere you want, but no one can deny the fact the bus is now no longer where it was. And that's the kind of progress we should celebrate and trust. Spoken like a kid who never took a bus. Spoken like a piece of shit that used some cash to mask his stink and truly thinks he's one of us. Spoken like a terminally unserious person who equates our cries for rights to mixed up orders from a server. It paints a privileged picture of what you would label urgent if the worst thing you've experienced in life has been the time your waiter accidentally brought a tray of gold flake scallop when you clearly ordered gold flake urchin. And now you're storming out the restaurant and hopping in a Tesla. You got 80 pounds of Tony Fauci merchant.
Rewind 2 chains won't make you wait in such a long line. Life's not just a way to waste your free time. Air that's fit to breathe is not a free ride. Free ride. Rewind 2 chains won't make you wait in such a long line. Life's not just a way to waste your free time. Air that's fit to breathe is not a free ride. Free ride.
Best to place your bets on weaponizing the identity of every limp progressive claiming grassroots integrity. Policy is a slippery slope for all of its complexity, so flex your brave resistance with this Ilhan Omar NFT. Numbered 1 of 723. Each depicts her valiantly championing a bill before she lays it at a donor's feet. And she can throw her hands up in the air with AOC and say if only Nina Turner could have voted present too, that's why we need another seat. We need some more progressives we elect to only tweet, who live to serve humana and their label of elective slapped on every patient's gravest needs. And every station plays the theme that medical professionals agree on the effectiveness and safety of injections authorized for this emergency. And in purely unrelated news, the profits of the ones who manufacture vaccines just increased by nearly 36 billion with a fucking B. Sometimes it feels like we're the only ones that see. Sometimes it feels like all of us are lost at sea. And every time we think we see an island on the tip of the horizon, it turns out to be another measure making sure we're kept within the watchful eye of murderous authority. And so I guess my grift is crying for the future they denied us, where the people who would buy us are a mockable minority. And we are more than genomes under warranty. And we are more than serfs in constant quarantine. If I had a single breath left, I'd let the chorus scream. I'd announce our leaders claiming none for all and more for me. None for all and more for me. None for all and more for me. None for all and more for me.
Rewind 2 chains won't make you wait in such a long line. Life's not just a way to waste your free time. Air that's fit to breathe is not a free ride. Free ride. Rewind chance won't make you wait in such a long line. Life's not just a way to waste your free time. And it's fit to breathe is not a free ride. Free ride.
My lips, brand new taxes, starving all the billionaires and neutering their Visa Maxes. Topple Congress off their axis, mobilize the homeless, give them axes, call it praxis. Chop a couple limbs off the legislative branches. We'll show you the difference between air as a human right and guaranteed oxygen access. Octogenarians who barely know what day it is are culling countless citizens while sitting on a dais made of ignorance that was built on the graves of the slaves made to labor for its self-declared significance. And all to build a Congress full of millionaires who make their fortunes insider trading while they shit on all the indigent. So I got a bone to pick with our leaders, and I'll start with the ligaments. Pick right through the muscle, dig the marrow out, and serve it to the unhoused millions living in their minivans or watching their belongings get evicted from their tenement. I have a dream where we breach the walls of Congress and just let them in. And what happens next will survive in only text, cause there won't be any evidence. There will only be that heavy kind of feeling that pervades a space where there has been a reckoning and you can feel its remnants. Let any man who enters seeking power know that those who came before him suffocated on their eminence. That there once was a seal on the wall, but we quartered it and scattered all the pieces that it might prevent its semblance. And so we end the great experiment. We'll take all your billions, leave you 2 coins for the ferryman. Leave you drifting on a Dutchman floating derelict among the wretched seraphim. For holy is the hand that wiped the land clean of those who pose as gentlemen. That's my time, honey, cue the thunderclap and strike the theremin. And so we end the great experiment. Give you 2 coins for the ferryman.
Good morning, Sunday morning. Good morning, Sunday morning.
We're 40 Sunday mornings out from normal, and the world is not the same. Said you waited for a warning, but the warning never came. Don't shine a light in my face.
Nancy gonna cut you a check too late. 2 years after your funeral's paid, 2 years after the grave, she'll be a little stronger for all of the dollars she saved. Watching you wake, watching you cling to your family slipping away. Watch her do nothing but pray. Watch her condemn the Republicans, take them to brunch and then shrug it away. Now watch us be outraged half of a day, then pick a new hero to face our leaders and think they could beat them, playing the game they played since Pelosi had real human blood in her veins. They're all one and the same, sold off stocks and they all maintain that the risk was benign and the virus was tame. Flash forward and 40 Sunday mornings fade, 250,000 people in its wake, and the cruise ship sailed today. So motherfucker, Motherfucker, don't shine a light in my face. Wait.
Good morning, Sunday morning. Good morning,
Wait.
Sunday morning.
Wait, we're 40 Sunday mornings out from normal, and the world is not the same. Said you waited for a warning, but the warning never came. Don't shine a light in my face. Said you waited for a warning, but the warning never. Maybe that's how it goes. We won't open our eyes.
No, Indy left. What is happening here?
To check out IndependentLeft.news.
The Indie News Network.
Indie Left News.
Oh, hey, Indie Left.
IndependentLeft.news. Great work.
Indie Left News.
Independent Left.news.
Independent Left News.
Shout out to Independent Left News. Shout out. Oh, what's up, Independent Left? Friend show.
Thank you, Independent Left.news.
INN, Indy, you're wonderful.
I think Indie was onto something.
Independent News Network, Indie News.
Yeah. What's up, Indy, over on Rockfin?
Independent News Network, also known as INN.
Indie Left News.
I don't know if I would have made it through that 3 weeks without Indy, honestly.
No, I was just going to ask Indy.
A huge thank you and shout out to Indie Left.
No, you know what we're doing? We're world building, Indie.
Indie Left News.
You were doing the INN recruiting.
Indie News.
Independent Left News.
Shout out to Independent Left News.
Check out Independent Left News.
At Kennedy News.
I see Indy's in the chat. Hi, Indy. Okay, great.
Hey, I don't know what just happened, but it froze. Who are these people? You know who these people are. I'm Indy. Yep. That's Reef right there. It's Sunday, and holy shit, guys. What? Guys. No, we're not going to be corporate media around here. We're not going to chase that stupid bullshit. That's not what we do here.
Bad news, bad things are happening.
Oh, well, certain people certainly seem to want to think so. Certain people were jumping up and down and going, oh my goodness, and making a big thing out of it. And yeah, I don't want to talk about that at all, really. Like, you want to go find that, you can find that on a lot of different places. So we're going to be the We're gonna be the anti that. All right. And in case you didn't hear and you can't see down there, this is How Do We Miss That? It's Sunday night. It's 10 o'clock. Everybody's like wanting to chill out and relax. And I've got some horrifying stories to bring everybody that you might have missed this week because the news is completely distracted. No, that's Shane Gillis. Come on, that's Shane Gillis. You have to properly credit who that is.
Opponent's gay. I walked in, I saw him, I said, wow, this guy's gay.
Oh, come on. Come on, man. Come on, man. All right. We got that QR code up there. That's to hook up INN in case you haven't yet and you're of means and able to and are having some fun with us tonight because we're going to, well, I don't know. We'll talk about some one good thing, which is New York Amazon workers organizing. But of course, we're going to call that out for some bullshit, too. Talk about the censorship industrial complex. And we had a win there, a bit of a win. But we're also going to talk about Gaza. And of course, there's not much winning there. Now, I kind of clickbaited everybody, and I have to apologize. But after taking a closer look at that story that I teased at the beginning about the 20 trillion missing, I can't really do that story on YouTube. So we're going to have to record that and put that out on Rockfin Rumble at another time because that's got some things that we know that algorithm does not like, and we can't risk our channel. Because that also happened this week, and I'll give you guys the lowdown on that, was that we got 2 content strikes or content claims
takedown requests from another network, and we're working it out. But right now, if anything happens, we could potentially lose our channel, and we're just going to be good little boys and girls. So
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
yeah, who is Lisa? Lisa?
Bros never watched The Room.
Oh, hi, Mark.
No.
Oh, hi, Mark.
No.
God, you're so uncultured. Haven't watched The Room.
Well, all right. So we're going to get to Indie Media Award honoree Sam Husseini. Thank you. Indie Media Award, IndieMediaAwards.com. You can get there. It's a link tree, and you can find all the 70 honorees. So look at this. Russiagate was Israelgate, which he published the other day, and I thought that was pretty interesting. Russiagate, we know, was a lot of fun, and everybody's been talking about Russiagate lately.
Russian scum!
Yeah. So this time, we're saying that, he's saying that after Trump won 2016, the Obama admin finally, after years of stalling, allowed a UN Security Council resolution condemning Israel's building of colonial settlements, which violates the Fourth Geneva Convention and always has. It's just that the U.S. has always blocked a resolution, right? Netanyahu asked the Trump transition team to lobby other countries to help Israel stop the resolution from passing. Netanyahu would sleep in Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner's bed. Creepy. I hope Jared wasn't in there when he visited New York.
He might have been. We don't know.
Maybe Ivanka was. Who knows? Kushner ordered General Michael Flynn, who would become Trump's national security advisor, for about 6 weeks until he had to resign for some stupid shit, to contact the Russian government. Russian
Let me
scum.
call the Russians to help.
On December 22nd, 2016, Flynn contacted then Russian ambassador Sergei Kislyak, asking the Russians to delay the vote until Trump got into office and then could veto it. The Russians didn't do what Kushner wanted, because on December 23rd, the UN Security Council passes Resolution 2334, condemning Israeli settlement building, with the U.S. abstaining. But going back on January 28th, 2016, just 5 days later, outgoing President Barack Obama imposed sanctions on Russia, ostensibly because of alleged Russian interference, quote unquote, in the 2016 U.S. presidential election. Funny. Kislyak then contacted Flynn about getting the sanctions reversed. As you would, knowing that sanctions were put on Russia. That is the origin of Russiagate, which dominated U.S. political discourse for years. It was Flynn contacting the Russians.
Putin's a madman.
It was Flynn contacting the Russians to do a favor for Israel. Oh,
nice.
How about that?
Nice.
How about
Great. I
that?
hope you think they helped them build a tunnel too?
Secret tunnel.
That happened?
Now, hey, you stole my line. He follows up with another article and says, Trump and the plan for the ethnic cleansing of Gaza. Will the Gaza genocide end the same way that Russiagate began? And he asks, is Israel pulverizing Palestinian society and stalling for time so that a Trump administration will greenlight a mass expulsion? Well, we've known and we've been saying here that Trump will be no better, of course, for the people of Gaza than Biden. We are screwed either way because Biden is blue Trump, is blue Trump, and Trump is red Biden. Either way,
You're fired.
With the exception of what might happen in Ukraine, and they may shift that money to Mexico or somewhere else, nothing will fundamentally change, just like we were promised 4 years ago. So again, this is from Indie Media Award-winning journalist Sam Husseini, who sits in D.C. He is in the State Department press briefings. He occasionally, I believe, gets into the White House press briefings, and he asks tough questions. He asked he's been making Matthew Miller, which is Count Smugula, really squirm lately. Love what he's doing there, as well as the Department of Defense, their guy, and there's another. There's a third one. No, not Sergei.
Sergei.
So he says, in my last piece, I recalled how Russiagate was actually Israelgate because it was Flynn doing a favor for Israel at the UN and asking Russia to do a favor that led to Russiagate in the first place, and Flynn having to resign, and them investigating Carter Page and Papadopoulos and all the crap that went down in 2017. A lot of people forget all that stuff. I kind of had to be reminded myself because so much has happened since then.
Hi,
Amber berries. Right? So what Sam says here is that similar dynamics may be before us in terms of collusion between Netanyahu and Kushner and Trump. In late May, Israel's National Security Director, Chachi Hanegbi, not Chachki, but Chachi Hanegbi, said the attack on Gaza would likely last for another 7 months, meaning until the end of this year. Look, we had heard from Mondo Weiss and others that they were expecting it to go into 2025. So that's actually a more conservative estimate than the ones that we've heard, amazingly enough. It seems quite possible that what's happening is that Israel is obliterating Palestinian society throughout Gaza, destroying hospitals, targeting schools, and forcing the Palestinians to move around Gaza over and over, including into tent cities. And then we know they're bombing those 10 cities. The latest move is Israel trying to clear Gaza City in the north. Which, yes, and there's a kill zone. And I think you guys have covered that over on INN News, Reef and Cullen, Wednesday nights, 9 o'clock. Go check that out. Okay?
Yeah.
In October 2023, the Biden administration was bankrolling tent cities in Egypt, paving the way for an ethnic cleansing campaign. Yeah, they tend to do that, don't they?
We talked about this.
President Blinken, or whatever, acting President Blinken, has said no forcible displacement of Palestinians from Gaza. Not now, not after the war. But Trump could.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
But Trump could greenlight a forcible displacement. Indeed. The recent CNN debate, Trump said Israel should finish the job. Well, speaking of finish the job, somebody tried. Well, we're not talking about that. In March, Jared Kushner commented that Gaza's waterfront property could be very valuable, and he's been hawking it all over the United States ever since. In New Jersey, in LA, in Toronto, we've reported on that. And of course, Trump has been able to do things no conventional U.S. president could or would, especially regarding Israel. As Sam wrote in, quote, Trump is the opposable thumb of the establishment. He had written previously.
Opposable thumb.
Yes. The establishment.
Thumb for sure.
Well, he's barely a shaved ape. So, yes, I guess it fits. Well, although I know that people say he has
anyway, I started blasting.
No body hair, which is embarrassing. Not very manly. Not very manly. The establishment long wanted to move the U.S. Embassy, of course, to Jerusalem and recognize Israel's annexation of the Golan Heights. It seemed an untenable thing for a president to do until Donnie Tiny Hands. And then, of course, he did move at Miriam Adelson and Sheldon Adelson's demand. He moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem while everybody screamed.
He moved the embassy. He wasn't just dip ducking and diving.
He might have done a little dip ducking and diving. He's not Kevlar Don. He's Teflon Don. Come on, let's call it for what he is. Hey, watch them ricochets, man.
I'm gonna have fun with that today.
Monans, Annie, what's up, bro? Man, this Well, yes. So he annexed that, and then the Golan Heights, which Netanyahu literally named the Trump Heights because he let him do it. Don't you remember?
Yeah.
Don't you remember? Yes, look at how they massacred my boy. I mean, the Golan Heights, they stole it from Syria, gave it to Israel, and then named it the Trump Heights, which is exactly what Trump loves to do, stick his name on something that he didn't earn.
You can do it, baby.
Financial Times reported in October that Israel's Netanyahu lobbied EU to pressure Egypt into accepting Gaza refugees. We also reported that multiple times, and that the Israel initial plan, or their final quote-unquote solution, is to drive anyone who's left directly into this mile and a half area that Egypt has been building a wall, by the way, a mile and a half in. We talked about that several weeks ago, right? In anticipation that at some point Israel is going to drive everybody else out through the Russiagate, and Egypt's going to have to accept them in exchange for their couple of $1 billion, if I remember correctly. All right. So yes.
Don't be rude.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Himbo. I'm sorry. I'm being rude. But Financial Times reported in October that, Netanyahu lobbied the EU to pressure them into accepting Egypt into accepting refugees. But recently, Egypt has gotten billions from the IMF and the UAE. That's interesting.
Okay.
Who's got big connections to the UAE and Dubai? I believe that might be Trump. Egypt is now ruled by Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who destroyed movements toward reform following the Arab uprisings of 2011. And Egypt has long been criticized as complicit and duplicitous regarding Israel's siege against Gaza. There were even questions as to whether they warned the Israelis ahead of time that they knew something was coming. I don't know if that checked out or not. I know that there was a lot of talk about it. People are saying...
There's been back and forth on that.
People are saying... All right. Thus, Israel is pulverizing the Palestinians in Gaza to the point that with Trump's likely election in November, they can start their full-fledged ethnic cleansing campaign. Can they start their full-fledged ethnic cleansing campaign then? Will they try to buy off Egypt, at least as a departure point for a mass expulsion? Ha! As if I didn't just say that. Well, it's possible that the transition period in particular might be when Israel would plan to execute an expulsion. In 2009, after Obama won the election and before taking office, Israel launched Operation Cast Lead, which killed, of course, over 1,300 Palestinians in 22 days.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah. Thanks, Obama. And thank you to everyone out there. It's me, Sarah P. Thank you especially. I woke up to a couple of support bucks, and I don't want to call them donations because it's contributions to the work that we do here, and we really appreciate it.
Donations, whatever.
Stop. We don't want to talk about that. We're not
fine.
We're not crowdfunders. We're
fine.
We make
Yes,
things.
we are.
Stop it.
We fund the biggest crowds. Great.
Now, there's a lot more going on in Gaza, of course, than what we talked about there. One of the things that we did talk about is there's a new publication out on Substack, which is your favorite place to read things, I know. All right, now.
Coming to a Substack newsletter near you.
She hasn't started one yet this week, but Cara Mariana did. Yeah. Now, she already has her own previous publication. She also works with Patrick Lawrence, who writes The Flautist. And now she's starting one called West Bank Alerts. So these are, and I wanted to bring this because this is important, stories from people on the ground. She says that because she's been there so often, and I read this and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. We have to bring this because not many people, unfortunately, in our circles are going to hear this, and I think you can all subscribe for free and get these. So she says, note to readers, I now announce the launch of a new Substack newsletter devoted to keeping readers up to date on events in occupied Palestine, West Bank Alerts. Since returning from the West Bank at the end of May, I've received almost weekly updates from friends and contacts there who describe a rapidly deteriorating situation. These missives arrive by text and email. More than once, I've received phone calls. They include heart-wrenching descriptions, a 7-year-old beaten by Israeli soldiers, and often include videos and pictures, burned olive groves, destroyed homes, settlers, and Israeli occupation forces raiding villages. Okay? As these updates arrive, as several did while I was working on my first 2 articles for the Palestinian Voices series that she's writing, my emotions fluctuate between rage and grief. It seemed to me that a new and unexpected responsibility has landed in my lap to find a new way to report on these situations and events as they happen. It's taken me several weeks to determine the best way to do this. West Bank Alerts will focus solely on presenting updates from my sources in Palestine. These will be brief news flashes rather than lengthy essays. Publication will depend on the flow of reportage coming from Palestine and my workload. I'll do my best to keep as current as possible. West Bank Alerts is an experiment, very much a work in progress. She was not trained as a journalist, and she thanks everyone for their patience and support, and together she hopes that we navigate this new terrain. Our input and comments will be welcome. So, yeah, what you think. I assume this additional work with a sense of urgency, every one of us is now called upon to do all that we can to support the cause of freedom and justice for the people of Palestine. And she's making it freely available to all. Again, winterwheat.substack.com. This will all be in the descriptions and in our Substack with all the links to everything after the episode's over. Winter wheat. And she actually published something today, Israel's 7-front war, just 5 hours ago. So she's already starting to get this going. And I'm here to support her for that for sure. I think that's awesome. So thank you, Kara. And we will definitely be subscribed. I already am. And we'll see what comes out of there and what else we can share with everyone. And I think we've been seeing a lot of the stuff in our news feeds also. But this is another way to document that in case anybody's account gets zapped or they decide to censor any of this stuff, this is just another place you've got to put it to make sure that people see it. All right. So, how's everybody doing out there? What's happening? What are you doing, man? How you doing?
We're waiting on you to get through your stories.
Okay. The next one is absolute fucking fire. All right. So I think it was Oz sent me this video of this woman, a Jewish woman. You know what? Let me go to this one and I'll full screen this so we can go in between us. All right. And let me full screen. Dang it. Hold on. Hang on.
Love Oz.
Thank you. There's Oz. Hi, Oz. No, that's not it. No. That. And then slideshow on. Slideshow off. Hey, that's what I wanted to see.
A winner.
A winner. We got it. How you doing, Cynic? We're good. All right. This woman, I would like to blast at 15 volume for every single Zionist, both in and out of my family, that has to listen, that is screaming about college campuses, that is screaming about Jewish, Jews being unsafe. That is, man, just listen. And holy crap, I'm going to shut up for 5 minutes and listen to this, and let's talk about it after.
Okay, it feels important to say this. I am not pulling my perspective on Israel-Palestine out of my ass, okay? I'm not just guessing that Israel is committing a genocide against Palestine. I have studied and researched this. I have bona fides, and I will share them. First of all, I'm a Jewish woman. I was raised by a Zionist family. My grandfather was a Holocaust survivor. My family talks about our spirit of resistance and resilience constantly. Desiring goodness from the nation of Israel is in my blood, and still, I can see that this Zionist state is vicious, violent, and evil. If someone who is raised by a Zionist family, by people who believe that Israel has the right to exist and that it is our salvation, if I can overcome my pro-Israel bias and learn about this conflict, so can you. And frankly, I should not be calling it a conflict, it's a genocide. So when I was in college, around 2012, 2013, a bunch of my friends and loved ones started going on birthright trips. And I knew enough then to ask the question when they got back from their birthright trips, what about Palestine? And when these people I love, admire, and respect started talking about Palestinians and using language like terrorists, I knew I had to learn more. I also knew that I wanted to go on birthright, and I was nervous about being brainwashed by the trip, and I should have been nervous. So before I went on birthright, I decided at my small liberal arts school in Massachusetts to get a well-rounded perspective, educational perspective on Israeli-Palestinian politics. I took 4 courses: Suffering and Evil in the Jewish Tradition, The Jewish Experience, Middle East Politics, and Arab-Israeli Conflict. I also took international and comparative politics courses that often brought up Israel and Palestine in comparisons to, for example, apartheid South Africa. And by the time I finished my ample coursework on the subject before I went on birthright, I was already pro-Palestine. Because once you are in the literature, once you are in the research, not the media stories about this, not the pro-Zionist rigmarole on CNN and MSNBC, once you are in the literature and the data, this isn't a debate. This isn't a question. People talk about Israel-Palestine like it is incredibly complicated, and I reject that premise. It is not. We know that anti-Semitism exists globally, right? We know that Jews are not the most beloved population in the world. We know that Britain has a colonial history on colonial projects even through the 20th and 21st centuries. Essentially, Britain already wanted to colonize Palestine. So did the United States. And at the end of World War II, Britain and the US got to talking and they thought, who do we want to exploit for military labor someplace that is surrounded by brown people so that we can rape and pillage land that we don't currently have access to? Where's one part of the globe we haven't effectively colonized yet? And there was Palestine. And Britain had been trying to colonize Palestine already. And so this was passed off to Jews who had just survived the Holocaust as a gift. Here we're granting you this parcel of land so that you and your progeny can exist in peace and not be violated anymore. Congratulations. Except that land already belonged to someone. Palestinians were already living there. And the US and Britain didn't give a shit about the well-being of Jews. They didn't care. This wasn't a gift for Jews. This was always intended to be a trap of, you do our military labor for us. We'll put you here and we'll grant you this parcel of land that already belongs to someone that there are already people on. And in return, you will rape and pillage that land for us and we'll just all share in the wealth. And it might be a good idea too if like your entire population were to, have conscripted military service so you can really defend that land that is yours, totally yours, bucko. And if you see who has emerged as the political leadership of Israel over the last few generations, this won't surprise you. This insidiousness will not surprise you. This is how you get Benjamin Netanyahu, someone who absolutely agrees to the premise of Israel as a Zionist ethno-nationalist state, who says, we are here for one thing and one thing only, is to garner as much wealth from this earth that we have, as much tourist property from this plot of land, convert it to dollars, and build up a military so mighty, a military apparatus so great that we wind up producing the world's weaponry. Yes, we have mined this land, and we have used the land to give you war machinery so that we can all murder each other 1,000 times over. And to the people already living here, well, we'll murder them too. I took basically a semester and a half of college courses on this, and I know in my bones that what Israel is doing right now is a genocide. It's evil. What they've been doing for the last 75 years is a genocide, is drip violence, slow violence, protracted harm. It is meant to exhaust the civilian population of Palestine. It is meant to exhaust all Palestinians out of their will to fight. And all the benefit, the wealth garnered from that land goes to the primary stakeholders, not the Palestinian people to whom the land originally belonged.
I give that lady a massive fucking mic drop. I'll tell you right now. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap. There's just so much that she put down there. The the thing that she didn't really say without saying really is about Jewish supremacy, and the thought and the prevailing thought around that within the community. She talked about goodness and whatever, and God, again, it just, she stunned me in my tracks, and I'm like, everybody's got to hear this, and I wish that people in my family also wanted to listen to that.
I don't know if want is the right thing there.
Well, I think that if they started to, they would turn it off, and I think that not just my own family, but I don't think that there was that. It was last week we talked about how the entire Jewish diaspora sees themselves as a family interconnected through quote unquote Israel. But if you see a family member doing wrong, isn't it your duty as a family member to do something and say something to stop that from happening in the future? Isn't that more your responsibility than anybody else's? So,
I don't know. You grow up in that culture as, pressure from family and, passive aggressive, like, no. Well, no, none of that.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. Yes. Okay. Sean, mic drop is exactly what I wanted to see right there. Yeah, she was fantastic. And you can see her over on the TikToks. Obviously, I'll put a link to that in the description afterwards.
A winner.
Oh man, how much is her portfolio up to this week?
A lot.
I don't want to share that yet. Okay, let's go back there. Oh, right. I have to turn off the slideshow. Is that it? Or do I have to turn on the slideshow? Let's see. On the slideshow. There we go. Okay. So, Microsoft is banning Palestinians for life from using Skype if they call their relatives in Gaza.
Nice.
This came out of the BBC of all places that did an investigation. Mint Press News picked it up, put out this nice graphic on Instagram as well as on Twitter. Not X, but Twitter. Somebody says time to switch to Linux, and you can explain why that's not a good idea. Mostly it's software related.
Great in theory, but yeah, there's a lot of software issues with that.
But here we go. A BBC investigation found that numerous cases existed where Palestinians have had their Microsoft accounts abruptly shut down for making calls to their relatives in Gaza. One affected user, a Palestinian in the U.S., said, "I've had this Hotmail account for 15 years. They banned me for no reason, saying I violated their terms. What terms? Tell me." Then they told them, "You are Hamas, sir." Effectively, Hamas. Yes, everybody is Hamas. So, yes, that anybody within Gaza at this point, thanks to Microsoft kowtowing to the Israeli government, that they are going to, or they have been banning certain accounts that I'm guessing that the Israeli AI system is telling Microsoft, hey, you need to ban these people because they are Hamas, whether they are or aren't. And how much evidence they have towards that, I have no idea, honestly. But it's weird that it's happening to people that live abroad that are calling their relatives to see if they're alive. And I read an article on MSN from the BBC that I didn't bring with us that said that Skype often works even when there's no internet, which is why a lot of people in Gaza have Skype when they can even get power to their phones.
I don't know how that works, but okay.
Yeah, I don't either. It's got some other direct connection. It's the way that I believe that Apple works, like how Apple messaging works, even if you are not necessarily connected to the internet. Like it used to be that when I was on an airplane, Apple messaging would actually work if I was connected to like Wi-Fi, but no other kind of DMs or instant messages or anything would. All right, Old Man Barker, good to see you, sir. I hope everything's working out well and you guys kind of worked out that thing that was going on the other night. I know it's kind of crazy. And Charlie Mack put out a tweet with your PayPal address. I believe it's just @oldmanbarker, paypal.me/@oldmanbarker. If anybody can help him out with a couple bucks, that's really cool. Oh, speaking of a couple of bucks.
Rent is too damn high.
Yeah, we're all getting squeezed, everyone. So if there's any way that you're able to, we know it's tough out there for everyone. Couple of bucks. Again, Sarah was really generous and she was able to help us out with some money this weekend. And we're trying to get Jesse a new computer. We had a part blow on Reef's machine. I had a power cable thing blow on my machine. You know, this is the regular stuff that we deal with on a daily basis just in order to be able to do this stuff. So anything that anybody can do to help, certainly it's appreciated and necessary, because sponsor money and we're not getting advertiser dollars, and you guys are the only people that we depend on for any kind of funding and any kind of support. So we deeply appreciate it. Let's go to the chats, if there are any chats. They got a friend of mine in high school. Kid came back a completely different person. I think you're talking about Birthright Trip, Earl of Laurel. I also have family members that had fantastic experiences on Birthright. I wouldn't necessarily even say that it was a brainwashing, but they're very defensive about it because it was such a good experience. And I'm like, of course it was going to be a good experience. They wanted to lay out the land of milk and honey for you so that you would actually want to come back and take land when you were older, because that's literally what they were offering to you as your birthright. That's why you were going on a birthright trip, sponsored by the Adelson family. Oh yeah, that's what's going on there. So, and I have, again, pretty close experience with that. Not direct experience. I never went on a birthright trip myself, but I know people who did. And they had positive experiences. They didn't feel badly about it. Some decided that they wanted to go back and stay on a kibbutz and have another trip there. So I don't even know,
You want to go to Israel? I go, why?
Well, because they'll fund a nice trip, and they'll take you down to the beach, and they'll show you the best of the best of the best.
Grass is green, and
right, exactly, and
the girls are pretty.
Pretty much, Paradise City. You got it. And they'll even hook you up in some cases. They'll commingle, and it's like, well, there's a lot of that going on because, well, they're young and they're whatever. But yes, again, they want you to have roots and ties and a reason to come back. Hey now.
We weren't talking about hooking up.
We haven't.
Sorry, children.
Yeah, sorry, children. We haven't really covered this publication much in the last year or so, and there's a good reason. And for a while, I was using their stuff, and I thought they've got some really good articles. And there's a guy named Luis Felice Leon who got really chummy with the Teamsters, and a guy named Jonah Furman also, who was one of their top writers over there or affiliated, and he went to go work for Teamsters for a Democratic Union, and all of a sudden it became very pro Teamster, very pro Teamster leadership narrative. And I read something, actually, there was an article a couple of months ago about that, and I may bring that down the road, but this is what I wanted to bring because it was actually written by 2 Amazon New York workers talking about some of the things that they're trying to do to organize and to fight Amazon for better working conditions, and some of the things that they're going through. And this is one of the things that we've always tried to do on How Do We Miss That and on INN, is to bring the voice of the worker directly to you. We've interviewed several current and former Amazon warehouse employees, not only from JFK, but JFK 8 in Staten Island, where they had the Amazon labor union organizing with now the Teamsters, but also from other warehouses around the country. In this case, you have people from the 5 New York City warehouses coming together to make demands of Amazon. And I love this. 4 New York Amazon, I'm saying 4 New York Amazon facilities. Apologies. The workers marched on management to deliver the petitions at 4 facilities from Amazonians United NYC. That's a separate group that has broken out. This is out of labor notes. Again, 600 of our Amazon coworkers at 5 warehouses around New York signed a petition demanding starting wages of $25 an hour, time and a half pay for Prime Day, which is coming up in 2 days. Seasonal workers converted to permanent status within 30 days of employment. That doesn't seem unreasonable. And Juneteenth is a paid holiday. Of course.
Okay.
The June 19th holiday celebrates the end of slavery in the U.S. and became a federal holiday in 2021, the first new federal holiday since MLK Day was recognized in 1983. So they organized petitions across 5 warehouses. Like I said, it was 5. So they delivered the petitions to managers at 4. They organized petitions across 5, which was LDJ 5 on Staten Island, which famously had a failed vote after the JFK 8 winning vote. That was in May of 2022, and AOC and Bernie had famously stump speeched outside of LDJ 5 right before the failed vote. Packages were rerouted, and LDJ 5 packages are routed to local facilities, the Massive Fulfillment Centers, JFK 8 on Staten Island, SWF 1 in the Hudson Valley, which is where the customer orders are packed, and the delivery stations DBK 4 and DNJ 3 in Queens and in the Bronx, where packages are put into delivery vehicles and dispatched to mailboxes or doorsteps. So they're really kind of telling you a little bit behind the scenes about the delivery chain. And the nerds like me who follow this stuff actually appreciate learning which ones do what and who goes where. Because then it helps when I actually talk to the workers later on so that I know what's going on in their facility. At the smaller delivery stations with only a couple hundred employees, nearly half the workers signed. And at 4 of the 5 warehouses, groups of workers have delivered the petition to Amazon management. So that's their montage video. All right. Coordinating their across workplaces. So this is a good thing, right? We began planning the petition in the New York region through what we call the Amazon Worker Summit, a loose network of workplace committees across New York and New Jersey. Worker leaders from each committee participated. I wonder how they actually communicated, what tools they used to actually do that and stay in touch, whether that was like a Slack group or what's the other one that Zuckerberg has. I'm blanking. It's like instant message with groups, and I don't use it. It's the one that everybody overseas uses, that one. Someone will know it. At the summit meetings, we discussed which issues were important. We agreed on some common issues and brought them back to our warehouse committees. Once all the committees agreed on the key demands, we launched petitions in each warehouse. The main way we got signatures was just talking to people. What a surprise. Amazon treats us like numbers, but we've made it a point to get to know each other as coworkers and friends. This is the same stuff we talked about when we talked about the Massachusetts teachers, when we talked about the Kellogg's workers, when we talked about UAW workers. When people actually start talking to each other, they find they have a lot more in common and can get a lot done, but Amazon keeps them siloed. We made sure to have these conversations on non-work time and in non-work areas, so it was protected, concerted activity under the National Labor Relations Act, because we know that Amazon is very quick to fire people for violating those kinds of acts and having these kinds of conversations that they deem anywhere outside of work, within work time or within working areas. They also made sure to reach out to all the different social groups in their warehouses so that the committees represented everyone. I mean, that's great. They got 600 signatures. That's definitely not everyone at 5 warehouses, but they heard people's grievances and desires to make change. Many workers are going through the same kinds of struggles to make rent and cover groceries. Of course they are, because of what Amazon pays them, and they don't get full-time hours.
Yep.
We all want stability, economic security, and respect. Basics. We connected.
Rent is too damn high.
Yes, that's right. The rent is too damn high. We connected, but that's not Amazon's fault necessarily. That's BlackRock and Vanguard and the other hedge funds that are buying up all the real estate, all the residential real estate and pricing people out.
Capitalism.
That's right, Tim Curry. We connected those issues to what it would take to achieve change, collective action. We've definitely talked about that before, and what are you for? Now this is what they're for. By coming together, we felt less alone in our struggle to survive while working at Amazon. One of the things that they're fighting for is Juneteenth. Why? I don't think that it really is much of a question, but Juneteenth became a symbol of respect. We pointed out to our coworkers that the federal government has recognized it as a holiday for 3 years. Why not Amazon? The company already recognizes July 4th to celebrate the freedom of the country, but it doesn't honor a paid holiday to recognize the liberation of millions of enslaved people? This is an insult to workers who share these roots. And there are a lot of them at the warehouse level. Let's call it for what it is. They hire a lot of workers of color.
Well, I think that's why they would be remiss to do it, right? Because how much of their population would celebrate that? You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, but it's that their executive team, largely, yeah. I would guess, is pretty bleached. So
yes, yeah.
Instead, Amazon pays lip service to Juneteenth by offering food at some warehouses and Juneteenth themed pins. Not even a pizza party. Even
dude, they get like Juneteenth pizza party. That's what Amazon hasn't come up with yet.
Well, food in some warehouses. Maybe it literally is the Juneteenth pizza party.
Yeah.
And pins.
Or something pins somehow more racist.
That they had made on Temu, right? Or from one of their Amazon overseas distributors.
Yeah. The Amazon sweatshop.
The mismatch between what Amazon says and what it actually does makes the holiday an issue for many workers. And that makes sense. Then you've got the $25 an hour where they say that we've made the case for hiking the minimum wage, starting wage to $25 to combat the growing cost of living and attain economic stability. This is the New York region. They should be fighting for $30 or $35 an hour probably to start now, especially because the timers. I mean, if you're getting 3 hours a day, $25 an hour is $75. $35 an hour is $105. I mean, that covers your commuting costs to work, pre-tax, of course. Amazon recently hit $2 trillion in market cap for the first time. Meanwhile, we're scraping by.